good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Welcome back to Passion World Talk Radio Network, a wholly owned subsidiary of Global Media Network LLC. Educate, enlighten, entertain. Call to action go over to passionworldtalkradio.com/donate and donate money to keep state of current affairs green and going. And Wednesday, we start a new program along the same line state current affairs of business because business follows economics and politics. So please go over, donate. We would appreciate it. I kind of look at this station as we tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, which most stations will not say, but I say. So, welcome back to State of Current Affairs with your host Lillian Caldwell and Vicky Esther Chang from Singapore.
Hi, Lillian. Thank you to the listeners who are tuning in, listeners and the viewers who are tuning in, and also the future listeners and audience who will tune in. I'm very sure because this is going to be forever. We talk about immortality. Lillian, we're building the immortality, and the AI is going to collect all our data and make us live forever. So it is 9:54 p.m. 25th of November 2024. We are exactly 1 month into beautiful Christmas. And I do know that in America, you can't even say Christmas, but here in Singapore, I don't celebrate Christmas even though I'm a Christian. I'm a Christ follower because it is a sober day. I like to see it as a day whereby we give, a day whereby we remember our loved ones and just sober down, calm down, and think about our lives, our role in humanity, our role in this world. I think that makes the season at the end of the year so much more meaningful than partying and drinking and I don't know if people out there do take drugs as they call it the recreational drugs, but definitely in Singapore, um, all kinds of recreational drugs and drugs are banned, and even vaping is banned in Singapore. And if you are caught with 10 grams of the different categories of drugs, you are hanged. No questions asked because we use capital punishment. So a little bit of something strict in Singapore. I think we are known for all over the world, but it keeps us safe. We've got no drunkens in the streets, and the girls are safe in the street. You can go home at 12 a.m. You can go home at 1 a.m. You can party with your schoolmates in a good way, and you can still go home safe. And your parents never question because we expect our streets to be safe. We want a safe city here in Singapore. But today, I promised Lillian that the past few months when we are doing the show, State of Current Affairs, it's all gloomy because no news is good news. But I brought out two heartwarming news stories to warm up our hearts and to really remind us that the spirit of humanity, the spirit of the human um, life is still alive and kicking. That's why the show is still here. A show like State of Current Affairs. We've got no personal interest in this. It's not political skewed in any way. We really want to push out some of the news that we think is of value to our listeners and the viewers. The first news, the news was published um, a couple of days ago that I found there isn't a date here, but it says latest news uh, by must share news dash must share news dash dash co.com must share news. It says 11-year-old Thai daughter from Thailand, 11-year-old daughter from Thailand wakes up at 3 a.m. every day before school to help mom sell food to fund her tuition. 11-year-old girl wakes up at 3 a.m. every day to help mom sell cooked food uh, every day to fund her tuition. It's a heartwarming story about a young daughter. And according to the news, the 11-year-old girl sells boxed food with her mom just next to the school gates in the morning, and she cooks every morning. Mother daughter duo would get up at 3 a.m. Together they'd cook around 30 boxes of omelets and scrambled eggs over rice. From 6 a.m. until 8 a.m., the pair would set up the shop right outside the girls' school and sell boxed meals for 60 cents, or Thai money 15 uh, Thai baht each. The money the pair makes go to fund the young daughter's education as well as the family's daily expenses. The mother is in the final stages of kidney failure. And the mother revealed that she was teaching her daughter how to make a living because she was in the final stages of kidney failure. She wanted to make sure her daughter knew how to survive. The story goes on a little bit, but I think this tells you that, oh my God, it's so touching. I can't even continue to talk. But it is important that we have news like that to kind of balances out the kind of mortar shells missiles that's going across continents called the intercontinental missiles, long range intercontinental missiles. I mean, I don't know a lot of these technicalities, but it's enough for us to sit back in terms of the words like long range intercontinental missiles that take out the whole city. The city burns down, lives are lost, children's lives are lost, mothers, daughters, fathers, brothers, sons, and they take up hospitals, schools, supermarkets, cinemas, parks, um, buildings. And we're not even talking about a war, soldiers against soldiers. We're talking about missiles against humanity. So, well, before I even get into that again, Lillian, but news like that is something that keeps us going, isn't it? 11-year-old girl fighting for her life because the mother is dying, and the mother, and it says that the mother goes to the hospital like 3 times per week, and it has to fund the family expenses, and the girl wakes up at 3 a.m. Now think about 11 years old. I mean, we 11 years old, we are going to school, we're making sure we get ourselves warm, and we demand our favorite food on the table and our lunch boxes, and we demand that candy, we demand that game, we demand that I don't know what you call that, the Game Boy or whatever. I think the world needs to wake up that we've got a lot of good people and needy people out there. Um, we really should look at the world, and that's so important for current affairs like this. We're not talking about just the news that makes the headlines, but news that do not make it to the headlines are more important for us, for our spirit, for our moral spirit, for our spiritual well-being, our mental well-being. I think I would share more a couple of news like this. So that story is from Thailand. Um, I've got another wonderful, wonderful story. These are the stories that really make me like go, hey, we have got to work a little bit harder, because we are given so much. What about these people out there? Okay, this story, oh wow, it's just tremendous. This story is from India, comes right out of India. India.com, just India.com. Um, meet man, meet this man who worked as a daily wage laborer, carried bricks, carried bricks for a living, cracked the medical exam to become a doctor. It says that this is an inspiring story of this young man called Sheikh Safaras from a small village in West Bengal who used to work as a daily wage laborer but conquered all these overwhelming odds to crack the medical entrance to become a doctor. And that's a picture of him and the father carrying bricks. It says rising out of poverty and meeting the power and using the power of education to change your station in life is one of the hardest things to do, especially in a country like India where opportunities are few. Like India has got 1.5 billion people, so it's the most populous country in the world, where opportunities are few and pursuing competitive exam requires coaching, which is expensive for the majority. However, there are a handful of people who manage to overcome all these odds and achieve remarkable success with their sheer hard work and dedication. One such example is the inspiring story of Sheikh Safaraz, a young man from a village in West Bengal who used to work as a daily wage laborer to become a doctor. And who is he? Um, he shares the story came to light after a physics doctor shared this story in his Instagram about the young man. This young man used to work as a laborer with his father and carried bricks to construction sites for minimum wage. Despite being in good studies, his opportunities are limited due to his financial situation, but the brave man never gave up on his dream of achieving something significant in his life. And during the day, he, along with his father, toiled in the scorching sun, working as a daily wage laborer, carrying heavy loads of bricks to people's homes and other construction sites. Yet, after a grueling day, he engrossed himself in studies at night, attending online schools and doing self study until morning to give himself a fighting chance to face his destiny. Wow. Now, I'm not even going to continue with that because it's so touching. Think about us, Lillian, that we complain about everything. I mean, I'm guilty of that, Lillian. Like, we complain about the weather. It's not cold enough today. It's like there's too much sun. I'm sweating, and then it's too. If it's kind of cold, we kind of put on like I need to put on an extra sweater like today. And we complain. When it's hot, we complain it's hot. When it's cold, we complain it's cold, right? When the food comes out and it's too little, we say, hey, I'm paying for so little food. And we complain about the cooking. We complain about the plating. We complain about how unclean the food is or how unpalatable it looks. We complain about having to queue up at the supermarket. We complain about everything. We complain about the phones being lagging, and we complain about not having enough phones. We complain about not having the fastest phone out here. So I think that this is really necessary for all of us, for the listeners, for the viewers. If you are like really going through the hardest times of your life, I'm just saying nothing compares to all these people who are living under the radar of the news media, who are living in abject poverty, and they are fighting for a chance to have this fighting chance for a change of their lives. And I think I want to thank stories like this, right? The stories of Sheikh Safaraz from West Bengal in India, and also the little girl who's 11 years old. Oh my God, it's like, I am so guilty. God forgive me for having complained about my life and not having enough that cryptocurrency, that cash. I think we all need that extra real kind of pinch reminder, or shoot ourselves in the foot like, hey, why are you complaining about the government? Why are you complaining about your neighbor? Why are you complaining about inflation when these people have got nothing at all? So I just want to share these two wonderful, wonderful, heartwarming stories amongst that whole horrendous news that's coming out of Middle East, the bombings out of Middle East, and the bombings in Europe, and the threat of nuclear coming this way to the rest of the world. But you really feel the stories lift us up. And I think at these very, very, I should say, volatile and ambiguous times, we need stories like this to really lift the human spirit and to elevate that kind of civilization. When I thought that Leonardo da Vinci and the Louvre Museum that I always go to in Paris lift the civilization. Hey, um, elevation of our civilization are lifted up by these people who are living in these unspeakable, abject poverty places that we don't even visit or see or hear. So they are the people who really lift up civilization. And I thank them, whoever they are. Over to you, Lillian.
I think that everybody needs a count my blessing time and count all the good things that happen in their life or count what they have been provided for is very difficult for the affluent and for the people who live in
Yeah,
the Western nations to understand
yeah,
poverty because it's not part of their lives. I mean, every nation has poverty, but the affluent has a tendency not to pay too much attention to it because it's not happening to them, or they were born in a better family than that. But the thing is, folks, is that a lot of it is due to the personal inner strength that these people have within them. And it's not something that's instilled, it just comes along with their packaging. And a lot of people don't realize they have it within them until they need to call upon it.
mm,
And I think that that's also instilled in you by the people around you. And if the people around you react to bad things happening to you, or bad things that may not help you, the ones who have it step up to the plate as it is, and they want to improve themselves. And it's a rare gift, and it's one that's not really nurtured. So, today, when you think about all the horrible things that may be happening, you can take a look at these two examples, a young lady at 11 and a man who decided, I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm proud of who I am and I know what I want, and I will get it no matter what the price is. And that's the other thing. There's no such thing as a free lunch. If you want it, you have to put on your gloves, your hip boots, and go out after it. And you need to remind yourself of this all the time. So, and if you want to help these two people, especially the little girl, I suspect that they would graciously accept your help because she doesn't have to prove anything. She's already proved it. But just make sure you get it to the right source. And I'm pretty sure you can find out. Go through the United Nations, would probably be your best way of doing that, to contact.
yeah.
Because the
So
United Nations have always been a big proponent of children succeeding.
So that's the two stories that I share. I hope to bring in more heartwarming stories in the midst of all this great news that's coming out, that's bombarding your eyeballs. So Lillian, that's all I have for you.
Okay.
But I would think that it's important that we share our projects out there, particularly our books. Would you like to talk about Gold Nuggets for podcasts, and also
Yes,
our upcoming
there's
superpower for communications.
well, Vicki Chang started a series called Gold Nuggets, and she approached many authors, writers who were good at their trade, and they wrote along with her books in the gold nugget field. And one of the books was Gold Nuggets of Podcasting, which she asked me. And then she has written three other books on communication and business that one really needs to go and take a look at. This is not throw it in your face, don't bother me, don't call me. These are instruction manuals that pretty much takes you by the hand and introduces you to the concepts of what you need to know, because the 21st century is about verbal and visual and interaction. And that's exactly what these three books are. So, Vicki, please provide the titles of these newer books.
The book that is already out there, Gold Nuggets for Entrepreneurs, Podcast for Business and You, written by Lillian herself and myself, and two upcoming books, um, Gold Nuggets for Entrepreneurs, Communications as Your Superpower, Book 1, and Communications as Your Superpower, Book 2. They will be coming up very soon. And we will have more books coming up about English language. And if you look at the latest news that has just come out from Norway, from UK, Singapore is ranked number 3 in the world for the command of English in the whole world. So I'm really proud of that. It's been the hard work of a lot of teachers and the I think the educational system, and a lot of hard work of the students. So I thank everyone for that, and I think we can contribute that, Lillian, yourself as a writer and myself as an English teacher and also for communications, to share some of the tips for English. And some of these data that have just come out shows that a lot of people can speak. They think they can speak, but they couldn't write at all because they couldn't spell, and they don't even know how to use the comma and the full stop, and the sentences just drop at the end, and so many grammatical errors. And that's happening around the world because research has found in the last few years since the pandemic that the command of English has gone down dramatically between the ages of I think 9 to 35 that they're tested. They tested about 2 million people in over 100 countries. That the command of English has actually gone down dramatically because people don't care, or people don't know, or people don't want to learn anymore. So I think it's high time that we kind of contribute to this aspect. So the young people, particularly young people, even including ourselves, who are guilty because we're using WhatsApp language, we're using like text language, we've forgotten about grammar. So I think Lillian and I would like to come out with a series of very small booklets for people to just buy off the e-shelves or Amazon, the e-books,
Kindle.
or Kindle, for $1.99, just for anyone to be able to read and to refer to your grammar rules. Now, Lillian is going to write more about the American English aspect. I'm going to write more about the British English aspect because our rules are a little bit different. So, Lillian, that could be coming up, and ladies and gentlemen, that could be coming up from 2024 or 2025, Lillian. So that's a few books. And the final book, It's My Life. Lillian, would you like to talk about It's My Life?
It's what they call a memory.
Yeah.
And you talk about your memoirs. You're talking about your personal life or a life of somebody you highly esteem and respect, and you want to share their life experiences with their friends, family, and you have an opportunity to do it. Now, It's
Yeah.
My Life is a story about Vicki's mom and how she handled her life where she got fulfillment from it and achieved the impossible, which in several circumstances it was impossible for her. Everyone has their own experiences and their own tragedies and their own triumphs. And you really need to share that with the rest of the world because everybody lives in an isolated bubble and they think that God or somebody else has placed a curse on them because their life is so difficult. But when you read other people's words or memoirs, you realize everybody else is experiencing it as well, but they handle it differently due to their
Yeah.
culture, due to their society, and how, after they left their parents' home, they brought themselves up. Because your parents are only responsible to you until you leave home for either college or for a job or get married or move in or however you want to put it. And then the rest of your growth is up to you, which shapes you by the experiences, by the people you meet, by the tragedies and the problems you solve. And Vicki has offered an opportunity for all people to get their
Please.
memoirs out. So you need
Yeah.
to contact us at PWR Network LLC at gmail.com or text us at 484 364 1032 and say, I am on board. When can I get started? Let me see your contract. Always ask for a contract because you know and Vicki knows exactly what is to be included.
Yeah. So Lillian, we've got another 3 minutes. Let me just make a shout out again, Lillian.
Sure,
So
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. Just to if you are new here, you're just visiting us for the first time. You're listening in for the first time. You are listening in to State of Current Affairs, and I'm Vicky Esther Cheng, and we've got Lillian here, and we are in all major social media platforms. You can always find us by just like Google our name. If you can't even remember anything, right? Just Google our name and you can reach us somewhere. Little bit more about It's My Life. And then I want to talk about why you should write your memoir. A lot of people would say that my life is worth nothing. I've got nothing to write. I've got nothing to say. I don't need to remember anything. And my life is not worth anything to tell anyone. I mean, I'm faced with such reactions. But when I started to write about um, for my mother just to commemorate her, I realized that it is so huge. It took me 5 years to write something to commemorate her. Um, However, it took me a lot. It took me a lot of energy, a lot of emotion. But I'm just gonna say to you out there, you do not have to write a memoir over a period of 5 years, all right? Because you've got an experienced writer in Lillian who's going to help you. You've got an experienced publisher, myself, is going to help you. You can get it out even in 5 days. There are many, many ways to do it, right? But we can't tell you so much over the air right now. We'll tell you as much as we can throughout the episodes. But let me just pose a few questions to you, listeners and viewers who are with us right now, or later, or share this with your friends. Tell me, tell us, and ask yourselves: have you ever regretted anything in your lives? What would it be if you hadn't taken that decision? What would you be if you had taken that decision? How would you think your life is going to be? How would you think it's going to pan out? Now, these are the words. These are the last words for yourself. How would you be if you had mended that relationship? How would it be if you hadn't said goodbye? How would it be if you made that phone call again? Now things would have changed. Now think about all these things about your life and about that is so tremendous. I can't even start to say that every aspect, every step that you take every day goes to build to your life, which is that most important thing for you. Without your life, you have nothing. So I'm just gonna say again, think about what if you had made that phone call, that very important phone call. What if you had mended that friendship, that relationship, talk to that daughter, talk to the brother, call that mom, call that loved one? What would you have done if you had said sorry? What about what if you had said, I love you, not too late? Would life have changed for you? Think about these things. These are the big questions. Your life that you have walked and your life that you think you should have walked. And I think what I'm posing to you are things that people do not think about. But I am challenging you to pause in this madness of the spiraling of the world, to stop and think about your life and think about the phone call. Now, you've still got a life right now. If you are on bed, if you are bedridden, if you are sick, if you are sick in physical health, if you are sick in your heart, you're sick in your mind, you wanted to do something but you couldn't, what would that be if you are unafraid? What would you be if you had taken that phone call or made that phone call or said, I love you or I am sorry? Or that decision or that road. Now think about these are important things in your life. Now that's a memoir. A memoir is not only a documentation about things that had happened, it talks about things that is your aspiration, your dreams that may not have happened. So I just want to challenge everyone in this madness of this world right now to stop and really assess that journey that you had taken and assess that the journey that you would like to have taken. And I think that's very important for your memoir because you are writing about your regrets, about your dreams, about your love, about the people that you should have reconciled. Think about that. And if you hadn't not had a chance to talk about that, you should be writing it down because you don't know if you have a chance to be speaking about that, talking to that person ever again. Now, life is so huge. I can't even imagine that people like stop talking to each other or have taken the road that they had not taken if they had a choice. So just going to challenge every listener out there, viewers out there, take that half an hour every night before you sleep. Think about your life because one day it will come. That would be the last night ever that you will be thinking about your life. And don't regret that you never had a chance to talk about your stories and your life at the very last night or day. Very, very serious note, but that is life because I witnessed my mother's last breath and she couldn't talk, but I told her, I love you and you are good to be on your way. I assured her. I said, there you go to heaven. It's a much better place. So I like everyone to think about your last moment. Now you are given a chance right now to think if this is your last moment, that flashback that you have, and you want to write it down, and we are giving you a chance. Lillian and myself, we're here. We celebrate life. For me, I celebrate, going home to the Lord also. But there are more important things because you did spend your struggles, your fights, your arguments right here on earth. Now make it worthwhile. So, Lillian, over to you. That's a very serious note, and that's a very serious challenge to our listeners and our viewers. Now, write to Lillian below.
Thank you very
I'm
much for
challenging
listening to
you.
us on State of the Current Affairs and our 2 heartwarming stories. And you can write up your own heartwarming stories. Just contact us at pwrnetworkllc@gmail.com or phone us at 484-364-1032 and say, I'm ready to dip the pen into the ink. And we'll set up a time, or all 3 of us can talk it out and get you going in the right direction. So I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning, and we'll be back tomorrow morning, same bat time station, same bat time. The only thing missing will be Batman and Robin. They're very busy these days. And Turkey Day is coming up on Thursday here. The rest of the world goes through their usual monotonous life, but we get to kill a turkey. How nice is that? Anyway, everyone enjoy themselves. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very much for joining us.